to my channel. For today's YouTober video, I am sharing my tips and advice on how to help if you are feeling overwhelmed with your bullet journal. So if you're interested in that, definitely keep watching. If you're not already, please be sure to subscribe. I am uploading a video every single day in the month of October, and I upload videos all about my own bullet journal, as well as lifestyle videos and a little bit of travel vlogs as well. So with that being said though, let's just jump right in. I am excited to talk about this today. So I actually started in 2016, and I started with an original, it's just a lined journal. I think I got this at Barnes & Noble. I actually love these journals for my normal journaling because they lay flat. I did want to kind of test out the idea of using a bullet journal before I jumped into buying the kind of $25 traditional bullet journal notebook that people use. This was just kind of what it looks like to give you an idea of where I started. So I did do the index, I did the future log, all that good stuff. And honestly, the biggest thing I will say is when I first started, I felt the exact same way. I was feeling very overwhelmed with my bullet journal. I didn't know where to start. I was kind of searching things on Pinterest, on YouTube, and all I saw were these beautiful, elaborate, artistic bullet journals where everything was perfectly spaced and perfectly proportioned, and they looked just absolutely magnificent, and I loved them. While I do still love those types of layouts, personally, I don't actually consider my bullet journal to be super artistic, as I guess clean cut as those types of journals are. I think it is very easy to get overwhelmed with your bullet journal. So today I just wanted to share how I started in the beginning and kind of where I grew into and where I'm at now with my bullet journal to help you in case you are also feeling overwhelmed like I was when I first started. So like I said, I started with that bullet journal in just this notebook. I kind of honestly, this sort of morphed into a normal journal that I kind of made into whatever I wanted. So I didn't actually stick to using it as kind of the daily, everyday type of a notebook that is advertised with the bullet journal system. But after that first one, I did end up picking up this pink one, and this is the Lecterm 1917. I don't know if I say that right, but it's the dot grid notebook. This is kind of the traditional notebook that I see everyone talking about. I've also seen a couple other brands come out recently that have been a little bit more popular, like Scribbles That Matter and other things, but I did actually like the dot grid format, and I do still use this type of a notebook now. The dot grid just gives you a lot more freedom than the line journals do. I found I couldn't really get as creative because you're kind of limited by the lines in a normal notebook. The interesting thing, when I did use this journal, I started it in January of 2017. I stopped using it in April. I made it about to here. Honestly, it was because I felt so overwhelmed. You can see I tried to make the kind of traditional bullet journal style layouts, and I was just very overwhelmed. I was like, oh, this system doesn't work for me. It's too time consuming. It's too much. Like I felt like I had to do too much to keep up with it, and that isn't the point of the original bullet journal. I'm gonna link the original bullet journal explanation video from the creator of the bullet journal down in the description box. I went back to that video and I actually completely redid my system. So I took away my color coding, I took away keeping up with all these trackers and logs and huge calendars and these huge elaborate layouts that took me like an hour to make. I took all of that away. There were some layouts in that pink notebook that I spent like 3+ hours on. It was absolutely crazy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you are someone that is getting overwhelmed with your bullet journal, that is the first thing I can say, is to completely eliminate the layouts and things that you really are spending way more time than you need to on them. The point of the bullet journal is to help give you back more of your time, not take away more of it. It's supposed to help you be intentional with your time and really see where your time is going and put it where you want it to go. So while I do think the bullet journal can be therapeutic and it can be a creative way to express yourself and kind of keep up with your life, I also think on the flip side of that, it still needs to be effective and help you do what you want with your time. After 2017, I used a passion planner for the rest of that year, which I've talked about that. If you scroll back to my older Plan With Me videos, you'll see all of my passion planner videos there. I did love the passion planner, but I just found the passion planner kind of one column layout to be too restrictive for what I needed on a day-to-day basis. So I ended up going back to the bullet journal at about March of last year. So this is the notebook that I started using in March of last year. This is actually the official bullet journal branded notebook. It includes a section at the end that kind of tells you what everything is and how to use it. So there's a little bit of an instruction, but I liked that because I felt like it gave me a little bit of structure. And honestly, the first couple of months still did not listen to that. You can see my March layout. I still was trying to do what everybody else was was doing and make it super creative, super artistic. And again, this took me so much time. I just found that I wasn't using it again. I mean, you can tell I started like falling off around April because I was just making it too elaborate. I tried to do like the weekly layouts. I tried to make that pretty. I was spending way too much time on these layouts. So around June of last year is when I decided to just say screw it to everything I had seen on Pinterest and Instagram and just put whatever the heck I wanted in this journal. I shifted from trying to follow layouts and follow other things I had seen. I actually stopped looking at the hashtags for a while, and like on Instagram and Pinterest, I stopped looking at all that because I just felt like I was getting so overwhelmed looking at those things. It should not compare. That's the worst thing you can do when you're trying to do this. This journal is supposed to be for you, not for anybody else. It's still for your eyes. So whatever you need it to be for you in your life and where you're at in this phase of your life, that's what your bullet journal should be. So for me, I really wanted to document more of my life. So I started doing a lot of memory keeping in my bullet journal, and I completely went back to good old black pens. This still was very elaborate. It helped to just get back to a simpler way of doing things. This is an example of what one of my weeklies looked at. Still, again, was very artistic and a little bit more time consuming than I wanted to spend, but it was much simpler than the other layouts I had been doing. It was just kind of boxes and the dates. I tried to simplify even more in July of that year, completely condensed the calendar, made a much smaller habit tracker so I wasn't spending as much time drawing boxes. This weekly task page, it's very simple. I just used different colors and wrote down my tasks for the day. That's my biggest tip that I can give you if you are someone that is feeling overwhelmed with your bullet journal, to just go back to the basics, go back to the original video. Another great thing I can suggest is the bullet journal method book. This goes into so much detail that the video doesn't cover, and it actually cleared a lot of things up, like why you use a future log, what the point of the daily log is, what to put in your daily log, what to put in your monthly log, what to put in your future log. It goes into so much more details on how to use the key, what each task and bullet is for, and it just goes into a lot of details on the system. It makes so much more sense. When I read this in January of this year. This is my bullet journal for this year. I read the bullet journal method near the end of last year, and I actually read it again at the beginning of this year. This journal has been so great this year. I feel like it's actually helped me be more productive, and the great thing is I love that it's changed. Like, I have just simplified everything. This is my monthly log now. I use the traditional monthly log that's talked about in the bullet journal system. I just think simplicity is key if you're really looking to use this to help you get control of your time, be more productive, and be more mindful of your time. While the artistic layouts are great, and I definitely do have some that are still very artsy and fancy, you know, I still do memory keeping in my bullet journal. It's more so when I feel like doing it, not because I feel like I have to do it. Take the pressure off of yourself to make things super fancy and super artistic, and just do whatever the heck you feel like doing. Who cares if it's messy? Who cares if you mess up? Don't feel like you have to tear out pages, which, by the way, don't do that. I teared out one page for the first time this year because I wrote something on it and it like ripped the stitching in the notebook. So don't do that. And who cares if you mess up? It's your journal. It really doesn't matter. Going back to the original system, it's simpler, it's still neat, and I get so much more done. So this was in June. This is where I was at. It was very neat, very traditional bullet journal system. You know, I've put song lyrics in here. I've done just whatever the heck I want to do in my notebooks. That is the easiest way to get out of being overwhelmed with your bullet journal. I've definitely, like, flipping through this journal compared to last year, it's much more just black and white. I have added color, especially if it's things like I've done plan with me's for my YouTube channel. I add color then, but majority of this year I have used just a black pen. And I use Sharpie pens. I don't use super fancy pens. I use Crayola Super Tips if I do want to make it colorful. I tried using brush pens and I just would get frustrated, and it shouldn't be a frustrating process. Bullet journaling should be something that frees you up. Feel like you actually kind of have just a better handle on your time in your life, and that is what I feel like I have now with my bullet journal. I write in this all the time throughout my day. Right now I'm still using a long form journal, so it's a separate notebook that I'm using to do my daily journaling. Moving into 2020, I do want to start integrating that in there as well. Like, I really like that they talk about that in the bullet journal method. If you're feeling overwhelmed with your bullet journal, is just to go back to the basics, make it as simple as you possibly can, and don't stress about it being this perfect YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest worthy journal. It can be whatever you need. If you want to make a journal about mental health, you can make it a mental health bullet journal. You can make it an artistic journal. If you do want to make it more artistic, you can make it more of a scrapbooking journal. Like, don't feel like you have to fit into this box of what a bullet journal should or shouldn't be just because of the pictures that you're seeing online. Comparison can be just the thief of joy in every avenue of our life, including bullet journaling. Especially like if you're in groups and you see people posting all of these beautiful layouts, it can be easy to look at your journal that's just a pen to paper and be like, oh, well, my journal's not pretty like that. I'm not good at this. There's not a right or a wrong or a good or a bad way to bullet journal. And the more you tell yourself that, the more you take the pressure off of yourself for it to be beautiful and perfect. When you take that pressure off is when you can actually start using it and utilizing it. When I finally stopped looking at all the layouts and stopped looking at all of the photos, I actually found that I used it way more than I did when I was looking at all of those photos for inspiration. That's what I want to share with you. That's why on my channel, a lot of times when I do bullet journal plan with me videos, they're very simple. I do just kind of, like I said, Crayola super tips and my Sharpie pens tend to keep things very simplistic. So that way, if you do want to create something that's a little bit fancier, a little bit more colorful, you can, but it's not something that you're gonna spend hours and hours doing. So that's my advice to you if you are feeling overwhelmed with your bullet journal. Go back to basics, keep it as simple as you possibly can, and make it whatever you wanna make it. If you want to write a long journal entry in there, do it. If you wanna make things short and sweet, do it. Do whatever works for you. A way for you to document your life, document your time, and help you be more effective and productive with your time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any of my videos. I have a few more daily videos coming through the end of October, and then I will go back to my weekly videos starting in November. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.